The trading post on Velar 7 smelled of ozone and processed nutrients. Marcus Webb stepped off the transport shuttle, adjusting the collar of his worn jacket against the artificial atmosphere. He had come to this backwater station for one reason: to hire a navigator capable of plotting courses through the newly discovered Vanther expanse. What he found instead would change everything he thought he knew about the galaxy. The hiring hall was crowded with species from a dozen worlds. Tall Crevithi with their crystalline skin. Short, stocky dolmens who communicated through bioluminescent patterns. Even a few of the reclusive Thane, their multiple arms gesturing in complex patterns as they negotiated contracts. Marcus pushed through the crowd, scanning the posted listings on the holographic board that dominated the far wall. That was when he noticed her. She sat alone in the corner, her form distinctly humanoid, but unmistakably alien. Her skin held a faint violet tint, and her eyes were larger than human standard, with vertical pupils that contracted as she glanced toward the harsh overhead lights. Her clothing was threadbare, patched in multiple places. Most tellingly, every other being in the hall gave her a wide berth, as if she carried some invisible contamination. Marcus had seen enough prejudice in his travels to recognize it immediately. He walked over and sat down across from her without invitation. "You looking for work?" he asked. She stared at him with an expression that mixed surprise and suspicion. "You talking to me? I don't see anyone else sitting here. There's a reason for that." Her voice carried an accent he couldn't place, musical but edged with bitterness. "I'm Lyra. I'm Velen. And before you ask, no, I won't be offended if you walk away now. Everyone else does." Marcus extended his hand, a human gesture she clearly didn't understand. He withdrew it without embarrassment. Marcus Webb, captain of the cargo hauler Steadfast. "I need a navigator." "Then you want someone else. Velens don't get hired for bridge crew positions. We get janitorial work if we're lucky. Waste reclamation if we're not." "Why?" Lyra laughed, a sound without humor. "Because we're the orphan species. Our homeworld was destroyed 3 generations ago. We have no fleet, no political representation, no powerful allies. We're scattered across 100 stations and planets, taking whatever scraps we can get. And because our biology is considered incompatible with every other known species, we're seen as evolutionary dead ends. No one wants us in their gene pool, so no one wants us in their lives." Marcus leaned back, processing this information. He had heard vague rumors about the Velens, but had never looked into the details. The galaxy was full of tragic stories, and most spacers learned early not to dig too deep into everyone's background. "Can you plot jump coordinates?" he asked. "Yes." "Can you calculate fuel consumption ratios across varying gravity wells?" "Yes." "Can you read stellar cartography and identify navigation hazards?" "I was trained at the Corvin Institute before they revoked admission for Velens. So yes, I can do all of those things and more. But it won't matter." "Why not?" "Because the rest of your crew will refuse to serve with me. Because stations will deny you docking privileges if they learn you employ a Velen in a position of authority. Because eventually, you'll decide I'm more trouble than I'm worth, and I'll be right back here, except with one more disappointment to carry." Marcus stood up, making his decision. "Berth 3, dock level 2. Ship leaves in 4 hours. Pay is standard navigator rate plus 20%. Interested?" Lyra stared at him as if he had spoken in an unknown language. "Why would you do this?" "Because I need a navigator, and you need a job. Everything else is just noise." She hesitated, then slowly rose to her feet. "You'll regret this." "Probably. I regret most of my decisions eventually. Might as well regret this one, too. The first 3 months were difficult. The rest of the crew, a mixed group of human and alien workers, treated Lyra with cold professionalism at best and open hostility at worst. Several stations did indeed deny them premium docking access, forcing them to use the cheaper, more dangerous outer berths. Marcus lost 2 contracts when clients learned about his Velen navigator, but Lyra was exceptional at her job. Her calculations were flawless. Her instincts about spatial anomalies saved them from disaster twice. And slowly, grudgingly, even the most resistant crew members began to acknowledge her competence. It was during a long haul through empty space that Marcus found Lyra in the observation deck, staring at the stars with an expression of profound sadness. "You okay?" he asked. "Do you know why everyone thinks VLANs are incompatible for breeding?" She asked instead of answering. Marcus shook his head. "Because we're not incompatible. We're the opposite. We're too compatible. I don't understand." Lyra turned to face him. "The Velen genome is adaptive, not just across generations, but within a single lifetime. We were designed that way long ago by people whose names are lost to history. When a Velen bonds with another species, our biology begins to shift, to accommodate, to merge. Our children are viable with almost any humanoid species. Do you understand what that means? That you'd be valuable for genetic diversity? That we're dangerous. That we could, theoretically, breed ourselves into other species, dilute their genetic purity, erase their unique characteristics over generations. So after our homeworld fell, when we had no power to defend ourselves, the Galactic Council declared us a genetic hazard. Not officially, but through 1,000 small regulations and social pressures. Keep Velens isolated. Keep them in low positions. Make sure they never gain enough influence to spread." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. That's genocide. Slow genocide, but genocide nonetheless. Yes, and there's nothing we can do about it. We're too few, too scattered, too powerless. There has to be something. Why do you care? Lyra's voice broke slightly. You're human. This isn't your burden. Maybe that's exactly why I care. Humans have our own history of genetic prejudice. We nearly destroyed ourselves over it. I'll be damned if I watch it happen to someone else without doing something. Over the following weeks, Marcus began researching. He contacted scientists, historians, and geneticists. He spent his savings on academic databases and historical archives. And slowly, a picture emerged that contradicted the official narrative. The Velen homeworld hadn't been destroyed by natural disaster or accident. It had been targeted. And the species leading the assault had been the same ones who now sat on the Galactic Council, claiming to be champions of diversity and cooperation. But more importantly, Marcus discovered something else. The Velen adaptive genetics weren't a threat. They were a treasure. Multiple independent studies, all suppressed or discredited, showed that Velen genetic contribution increased resistance to disease, improved cognitive function, and enhanced environmental adaptation. The Velens weren't a danger to other species. They were a potential benefit so valuable that certain powers wanted to control or eliminate them rather than share that advantage. Marcus presented his findings to Lyra in his quarters, the data scrolling across his personal display. This is why they fear you, he said. Not because you're incompatible, but because you'd make everyone else better. And certain species have built their power on being superior. They can't allow that superiority to be challenged. Lyra read through the data with shaking hands. What do we do with this? We make it public. Every major news network, every scientific journal, every government we can reach. We make the truth too loud to ignore. They'll come after us. Probably. You'll lose everything. Your ship, your career, maybe your life. Marcus smiled. Wouldn't be the first time I've made a terrible decision. The data release caused an uproar. At first, the council tried to suppress it, but the information spread too quickly across too many channels. Independent scientists began verifying the findings. Historians corroborated the evidence of genocide. Public opinion, especially among younger generations who had grown up questioning the old hierarchies, began to shift. Took 3 years, but eventually, the Galactic Council was forced to repeal its restrictions on Velans. Reparations were discussed. Formal apologies were issued. It wasn't enough, would never be enough, but it was a beginning. Marcus and Lyra continued to fly together, though the Steadfast became famous enough that they could have retired comfortably. But neither of them wanted to stop. The galaxy was vast, and there were always more secrets to uncover, more injustices to expose. One evening, as they plotted their next course through uncharted space, Lyra reached across the navigation console and placed her hand over Marcus's. "Thank you," she said simply. "For what?" "For seeing me when everyone else looked away. For believing me when everyone else called us liars. For risking everything when you had no reason to care." Marcus intertwined his fingers with hers, noting how her skin had shifted slightly, taking on a faint warmth and tone that more closely matched his own. The adaptive genetics at work, building bridges across species lines. "That's what humans do," he said quietly. "We're stubborn, foolish, and we make terrible decisions. But when we decide something is worth fighting for, we don't know how to quit. Is that what this is? A terrible decision?" Marcus pulled her closer, pressing his forehead against hers in the Velan gesture of trust and affection he had learned over their years together. "The very worst," he whispered. "And I would,"